Right now, millions of Americans are quietly making a decision that would have felt unthinkable 10 years ago. They're leaving, not for vacation, not for a semester abroad, for good. Passport applications just hit a record high. Citizenship renunciations have doubled. And in one recent survey, nearly 1 in 5 Americans said they want to leave the country permanently. So what's going on? Why are so many people walking away from what used to be called the American dream? And more importantly, where are they going? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this is happening, and you'll see the 10 countries where Americans are rebuilding their lives in 2026. Some of these choices are obvious. Others might genuinely surprise you. And our number one pick isn't just popular. It's the country Americans want to move to more than any other place on Earth, by a huge margin. Let's find out why. This isn't about politics for its own sake. It's about numbers. Housing that costs too much, healthcare that costs even more, and a growing feeling that no matter how hard people work, they're falling behind instead of moving forward. We pulled together the latest 2026 data, migration reports, expat surveys, and government numbers to understand exactly why people are leaving and exactly where they're headed. Let's start with the why. Then we'll count down the 10 countries that are becoming the new home for the American exodus. Here's a number that puts things in perspective. As of 2025, an estimated 9 million American citizens were already living outside the United States. That's more than the population of New York City, and it's growing. Studies suggest hundreds of thousands of Americans left the country voluntarily last year alone. So why now? The number one reason, again and again, in almost every survey, is money. Cost of living, housing, taxes. In one major 2026 survey of high-earning Americans, 68% said the cost of living was their top reason for wanting to leave. Think about that. These aren't people who are struggling to get by. These are people doing well financially, and they're still looking for the exit. Then there's healthcare. The average American spends over $13,000 a year on health insurance. In dozens of countries around the world, people get better outcomes for a fraction of that price, sometimes for free. Add in housing prices that now require 6 to 10 times a person's annual income in many desirable cities. Add in over $1 trillion in student debt hanging over an entire generation. And add in something most people don't think about. The US is one of only 2 countries in the world that taxes its citizens no matter where they live, even if they never set foot on American soil again. Political climate matters too. It shows up in almost every survey as a factor. But here's the twist. When you actually ask people who've moved, most of them say politics was the final push, not the whole reason. The real driver is almost always the math. Can I live better somewhere else for less money, with less stress? For a growing number of Americans, the answer is yes. Now let's see exactly where they're going. Number 10, Germany. Picture this. You land in Frankfurt with one suitcase and no job offer waiting for you. In most countries, that would be the end of the story. In Germany, starting March 2026, it's just the beginning. That's what the new Opportunity Card actually means. Americans can arrive first and search for work after, something that was almost impossible here just a year ago. For anyone who's been stuck waiting on a visa sponsor for years, that single change is enough to make Germany worth a second look. And once you're in, the safety net catches you in ways the US never does. Free public university, universal healthcare, the kind of quiet, unglamorous stability that Americans spend their whole lives chasing and rarely find. Of course, nothing here moves fast. German bureaucracy is famous for testing people's patience, and unless you learn the language, you'll always feel one step outside the room. Still, in 2026, more Americans are willing to make that trade than ever before, because for the first time, Germany didn't make the door harder to open. It made it easier. The next country goes even further. No language barrier, no paperwork maze, just a completely different relationship with time itself. Number 9, Japan. Imagine standing on a train platform at midnight, alone, and feeling nothing but calm. No anxiety, no glancing over your shoulder. That's not a fantasy in Japan. It's Tuesday. This is the thing that keeps pulling Americans across the Pacific. Not the food, not the neon lights of Tokyo, though those help. It's the quiet, everyday feeling of being safe without having to think about it. For remote workers especially, Japan has become something of a secret weapon. Keep the US paycheck, move somewhere that paycheck suddenly stretches twice as far, and trade chaos for order. But this move asks more of you than most. The language is genuinely difficult, and long-term residency doesn't come easy. You need a real plan, not just a plane ticket. Even so, more Americans are figuring it out in 2026 than ever before. Because once you felt that kind of calm, it's hard to go back to normal. That's impressive. But our next destination trades order for something else entirely. Sunshine, history, and a much easier way in. Number 8. Italy. Imagine your alarm doesn't go off at 6 a.m. anymore. Instead, you wake up to the smell of fresh bread from the bakery downstairs, and the loudest thing outside your window is someone practicing scales on a violin. That's the version of life pulling Americans toward Italy. Not a vacation, a rewrite of the entire day. The math helps too. Lower cost of living, public health care, and a growing number of Americans quietly buying old farmhouses in Tuscany and Umbria for less than a down payment back home. But don't let the postcards fool you. One American who made the move said the visa paperwork alone nearly made her give up before she'd even unpacked. Italy doesn't rush for anyone, and yet Americans keep choosing it in 2026 because what they're really buying isn't cheaper rent, it's permission to slow down. Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe now. This channel is built around exactly this: real countries, real numbers, no fluff, and it genuinely helps us keep making these. Takes 2 seconds. Okay, back to the countdown. Number 7 changes the entire conversation if you're thinking about retirement. Number 7, Greece. Imagine opening your pension statement and realizing the government only wants 7% of it, not 30, not 40, 7. That's the deal waiting in Greece, and it's why more Americans are treating this country as a serious retirement plan instead of just a dream vacation. A flat 7% tax on foreign pensions, locked in for 15 years. Add in a cost of living roughly half of what most Americans pay at home, and suddenly that White House with the blue door on a hillside overlooking the Aegean doesn't feel so out of reach. The golden visa gets you there through property investment, which means this path takes real capital up front. And outside Athens, the job market moves slowly. But for Americans doing the math on retirement in 2026, Greece keeps coming out on top. Not because it's beautiful, though it is, but because the numbers actually work. This next country offers something almost nobody else on this list does: a complete lifestyle reset without giving up modern comfort. Number 6, Costa Rica. Picture trading your commute for a walk past howler monkeys in the trees, in a country that scrapped its entire army back in 1948 and spent the decades since investing in people instead. It used to be mostly retirees making this move. Not anymore. A wave of younger American professionals are choosing Costa Rica now, chasing something the locals simply call pura vida, pure life. It's not a marketing slogan. It's a genuine answer to American burnout culture. Political stability in a region that doesn't always have it makes the decision easier, and an established expat community means nobody has to figure it all out alone. But paradise has a price. Import taxes make electronics and cars expensive, and rainy season can shut down normal life for months at a stretch. Even so, Costa Rica keeps showing up on 2026's most wanted lists, not as a retirement afterthought, but as a deliberate, thought-out choice. The next country might be the smartest financial move on this entire list. Number 5, Panama. Imagine never opening a currency converter app again. Your dollars are already the local money, no exchange rate, no losing a percentage every time you buy groceries. That's Panama, and it's exactly why a major 2026 report named it the #1 country in the world for financial freedom. Fully dollarized, with a territorial tax system that generally leaves income earned outside Panama untouched. For retirees, the Pensionado Visa hands out serious discounts on everything from healthcare to movie tickets to flights. For everyone else, entrepreneurs and remote workers are increasingly choosing Panama on purpose, not by accident, specifically because of that tax setup. The trade-off is the climate, thick and humid, and healthcare that gets noticeably weaker the further you get from Panama City. Still, when Americans run the actual numbers on where their money goes furthest with the least risk, Panama keeps landing near the top. Our next country has become the single most talked about relocation destination for Americans this entire decade. Number 4, Portugal. Imagine doing the math on daycare and realizing you just saved $20,000 a year in a country where the sun shines nearly 300 days out of the year. That's not an exaggeration. American childcare costs run $15,000 to $25,000 annually. In Portugal, the same thing costs 2,000 to 5,000 euros. That gap alone is quietly moving entire young families across the Atlantic. The D7 visa makes it legal, requiring under 1,000 euros a month in passive income for a real path into the European Union. Add genuinely good health care and a climate most Americans only get on vacation, and it's easy to see the appeal. The catch is wages. Local salaries in Portugal are low, so this move works best for people bringing money with them, retirement funds, savings, remote income, not for building a paycheck from scratch. Lisbon, meanwhile, has quietly turned into one of Europe's busiest hubs for American remote workers, rivaling Berlin and Barcelona without most people even noticing it happen. Our next country offers something even bigger, the same dream, at a scale Portugal simply can't match. Number 3, Spain. Imagine never needing a car again. Walk to work, walk to dinner, walk home, and along the way, pass a public healthcare system that barely touches your wallet. That's daily life pulling Americans towards Spain, and in 2026, it's happening at a scale nobody predicted. Spain's digital nomad visa has become one of the most searched relocation terms among American remote workers, and relocation to Spanish cities has reportedly tripled since 2024. Childcare costs drop just as dramatically as they do in Portugal. Infrastructure is strong, and the culture doesn't just tolerate outsiders, it genuinely absorbs them. The trade-off is competition. As more Americans discover Spain, rent in Barcelona and Madrid keeps climbing month after month. But don't mistake this for a passing trend. Spain now has one of the largest, fastest-growing American expat networks anywhere in Europe. Real infrastructure, built specifically to help newcomers land on their feet. Our number 2 pick isn't even in Europe, and it already has more Americans living there than any other country on Earth. Number 2, Mexico. Imagine landing with no visa, no waiting period, and a doctor's visit that costs about the same as lunch back home. That's Mexico, and nothing else on this list is this easy. No visa required for the first 6 months. A doctor's appointment for around $40. And unlike almost everywhere else on this countdown, family back home is a short flight away, not a full day of travel. More than 1.5 million Americans already live there, which means the infrastructure already exists. English-speaking healthcare providers, established real estate networks, entire neighborhoods built around making the transition simple. Mexico City feels like a different country from Mérida, and Mérida feels nothing like Puerto Vallarta. Urban energy, colonial quiet, or beachfront calm, all under one flag. The one honest downside is traffic. Congestion in the major cities is a daily, unavoidable frustration. But for the average American looking at 2026, Mexico isn't just the easiest move on this list. It's the most financially realistic one. That's exactly why it holds the number 2 spot. That brings us to the final country. When Americans were asked directly where they'd most want to move in 2026, one answer came back more than twice as often as anywhere else. Number 1, Canada. Imagine driving across the border instead of boarding a plane and stepping into a country where you already speak the language, understand the humor, and somehow still feel like you've started completely over. That's Canada, and right now it isn't just popular among Americans, it's dominant. In a major 2026 survey, nearly a quarter of Americans picked Canada as their top choice to relocate to, more than double the country in second place. The reasons aren't mysterious. Universal healthcare removes one of the biggest fears Americans carry every single day. Strong job markets in Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary offer real careers in tech and finance, not just a fresh view. And the shared language and culture erase the adjustment period that makes every other country on this list a little harder. More than 250,000 Americans already live there, and that number keeps climbing every year. It isn't cheap. Toronto and Vancouver rival the priciest U.S. cities, and the skilled worker immigration system rewards only the strongest applications. But for millions of Americans weighing their options in 2026, Canada offers something no other country on this list quite manages. Familiar enough to feel safe, different enough to feel like a real fresh start. That's why, out of every country in the world, this is the one Americans are choosing the most. So there you have it, the 10 countries where Americans are actually rebuilding their lives in 2026, and the real reasons why so many people are choosing to leave in the first place. It's not one single thing pushing people out. It's the cost of living, it's healthcare, it's housing. It's the feeling that hard work alone isn't enough anymore. And for millions of people, the math on staying just doesn't add up the way it used to. Here's my question for you. If you had to pick just one country from this list to start over in, which one would it be? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If this video gave you something to think about, subscribe for more. We're covering the countries, the visas, and the opportunities that most people never even hear about until it's too late to plan for them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.